Good afternoon, everybody. This video is going to be about depreciation. I am purely making this for my own revision material, but also if it helps somebody else to understand what depreciation is and how it's kind of used in accounting for their accounting exams, then fair enough. So, what is depreciation? Depreciation is the whole point of depreciation is to spread the cost of a tangible asset over its useful life. And as to why this happens, because of wear and tear, age, sometimes obsolescence. So, for example, technology, this probably happens in the software side a lot where new technology just replaces it. And if you think about it, an asset that is 3 years old will most likely not work as fast or as efficiently as a brand new asset. So, the whole point of depreciation is to recognize this kind of loss of value throughout the asset's useful life. And there are two different ways of depreciating an asset depending on what policy that a company uses. One of them being straight line here, and the other one being reducing balance. So I'm just going to look at this straight line example for the first and how to work it out. So we can see I've just used very round numbers just to make this very easy for you. So we're assuming that this asset, whatever this asset may be, some kind of plant and machinery or a car or whatever, costs £10,000 or whatever currency you want to use, and we're assuming that it has 10 years of useful life. So basically, very, very easy with straight line. We would just take this asset cost or whatever it starts with, and then we divide it by the useful life, which in this case is 10. So we can see that each year this asset is going to depreciate by 1,000, or it's going to lose value of 1,000 every year. And because it's got 10 years, this is going to keep going for 10 years until eventually there's a net book value of 0. So in 1 year, we're going to see that the asset value is now 10,000 minus this 1,000 because it's gone through a year of depreciation, which leaves us 9,000. Same again in year 2, the value is 9,000 because that's what it was, that's what it ended up being at the end of year 1. So that means at the end of year 2, it's 9,000 minus 1,000 because that's what the yearly depreciation expense will be. And if I just drag this down, I hope this works. Didn't go back again, but you can see it's the same formula each time in that we take the previous years and then we minus the depreciation expense. Maybe it works this time. No, it doesn't, but you get what I mean in that year 4, it's going to be 6,000, and then year 5 is going to be 5,000. And if we were to drag this down all the way to year 10, it's going to be a 0. So hopefully that makes sense in terms of straight line. I think that's definitely going to be the easiest time or the easiest version of depreciation that you can get. Now moving on to reducing balance. Reducing balance is where we take a percentage of that cost. So we can see here again all rounded numbers just to make it easy. We're assuming that this asset that also has a cost of 10,000 is going to have a yearly depreciation charge of 10%. So what that is going to look like in year 1, it's going to be 10,000. Well, maybe let's not do it there. We'll do it here. So it's going to be the cost times by the percentage, which is 1,000 in year 1. So 10,000 minus our depreciation charge of 1,000 is going to leave us with a total of 9,000 in year one. Now, watch this. So now we need to do 10% of 9,000 here, which would be 9,000 times by 10% is 900. So 900 minus, 9,000, sorry, 9,000 minus 900, which would be 8,100. And it just keeps on going. But if I just quickly fill these all out, we are going to see a little pattern, which is kind of the reason why certain companies use reducing balance as their depreciation method. So at the end of year three, it will have a depreciation expense of 810. So that is minus that. I'm going to put all of my depreciation expenses here. That times 10%. And it's going to be end of year four. We're going to take the starting of year three minus the depreciation expense that we've worked out. And you can see here that each time, so looking at our depreciation expenses here, as the years goes on, there's actually less depreciation. So it's assuming that for this asset cost, for this asset, which has a useful life of 10 years, most of the depreciation, most of the loss of value is going to come in within the first few years. It's front loading depreciation. So unlike straight line here, where there's just a constant depreciation across all of this 10 years of useful life, we're seeing here that in year one, there's 1,000 of depreciation expense, but as time goes on, there's actually less depreciation expense going on for this asset. And that is why certain companies, particularly for plant and machinery, where it could possibly last a long time, but during its first 3 years, for example, we would expect to see more depreciation. So that's it for the video. I hope you guys understood something. I should definitely map my workings, and maybe format this a lot better, but this is my first one of these, and I hope you understood something.